AoC meeting number 22. The first AoC meeting from your new 2020 AoC. Well, technically. We did have one before this, but that meeting wasn't the normal kind of meeting you guys are used to. That meeting was more of an orientation, and the devs used it to explain things to the newer members. I didn't make a video on it because there wasn't really any info in it that could be given to you guys. Also, before we get started, yes, the devs know about all the server problems going on since the update. They did a lot of major updates to their server tech. The updates didn't really come out stable though. Fixing them is of course their top priority right now. Thankfully, server updates don't require pushing out patches, so that'll cut down some of the wait time. Anyway, back to the meeting. This meeting is a normal one, unlike the first one, so let's go ahead and get started. My topic was up first. I brought up Io, Moji, and Pepper. Let's start with Io, who I've seen get a ton of complaints about being too weak and unfun to play. Io's popularity is incredibly high, so it makes sense that so many of you would be so outspoken about her. I'm with you, I love the character as well, and I agree with the complaints about her not feeling good to play anymore. The main complaint I saw is that Io spends too much time healing. They nerfed her healing output and gave her more moonlight. So now you're holding the heal button down on a target for what feels like forever, and by the time you heal them up to full, other allies need healing as well, so there's really no time for you to do anything else. Io has way too much going for her to be a normal ordinary heal bot. So I wanted to see if the devs would be up for buffing her healing output and probably in exchange nerfing her moonwalk card. Believe it or not though, Io's win rates are still really good, and I knew this going into the topic. But how good a character is performing doesn't really matter if the player doesn't enjoy them. Now the devs said that Io is probably still doing really well because of Luna. Luna is a very powerful tool after all, but they understand that Luna being powerful doesn't make you, the Io, feel powerful. They want to look at her for Update 3. Sands of Myth is Update 2 to put that into perspective. They were thinking on two options for her. They could do what I said and increase her healing output, or they can bring back her defensibility, which as many of you probably know was nerfed in a few ways in Season 3, because Io was the least dying character by a significant margin. A few of us in the AoC were more for fixing her healing output. That's where all the complaints seem to come from after all. Now for Pip. So his damage playstyle with Catalyst seems to have completely died off after its nerf. I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times since the nerf. I asked for 2 things. I asked if it was possible to revert the nerf. I also asked again about removing his mid-air inaccuracy. I am a firm believer that characters that go into the air by design shouldn't have mid-air inaccuracy. The devs said that Catalyst was performing really well statistically. Pip is apparently one of the more powerful characters in the game win rate wise. They compared him to Io. Even though they win more, players don't feel like they're doing as much as they really are. They weren't against reverting the Catalyst nerf, but they're more interested in removing his mid-air inaccuracy since it would help both his damage and heal playstyles. They have to be careful with this though. They don't want to encourage jumping around, high-flying gameplay. It tends to be a thing that turns a lot of players away. Now for Moji. So I've heard both complaints from both low and high tiers regarding this character because the character has big problems in both. Her damage output is nuts in low tiers because awareness is lower down there, so Moji is able to get close to people and nuke them before they can react. And in higher tiers, people are so aware of her that the character rarely gets to do anything while waiting for an opportunity to attack. To me, there is one solution to both of these problems. Good flanks have good poke, because good poke allows you to do something useful while waiting for the opportunity to dive. So what I suggested was taking some damage away from her base and putting it into her poke. So when the character gets close to you and attacks you, you have more time to react. But the character can also get more use throughout more of the game. And no, I'm not attempting to make it so Moji will do more than 1,000 per fully stacked mark. The devs don't want that either. They're gonna go ahead and think on her more. They do agree that balancing her like that would level her out across different skill levels more. They also think that her spray spit blocking vision is a problem of hers too, so you may see less visual clutter for her in the future. That's it for me. Up next was Gabbonet. He's one of the general delegates. He talked about a possible role system for ranked. Now this wasn't a role queue system like League of Legends where you pick the role you want to play, let's say a tank, and the game pairs you up with another tank, a DPS, a flank, and a support. No, that can't happen in this game, the queue times would become massive. Instead, he brought up a roll call system like in Smite. Roll call lets you make your preferred role visible to your teammates, so it's easier to get everyone on their comfort roles. The devs said they are fans of this system, or at least something similar. However, they are spending their programming time on bug fixes and polish and not adding new systems. So if this was to happen, it'd be a farther off thing. The devs have apparently discussed the idea of role incentives before, like giving more XP to tank players for example, since as you guys know, it's an underplayed role. Again, systems like this wouldn't happen anytime soon. Next up is GlennZA, the Xbox representative. He was talking about crossplay problems. Apparently consoles sometimes can't accept incoming friend requests from PC players, even though the game tells them they've received new friend requests. The devs aren't happy with the friend system right now, and they definitely feel like it needs improvements. They would like to spend programming time on things like this. Glenn also brought up crossplay matchmaking problems, how there's often a lot of games that are complete stomps. The devs said that compared to PC, you see more gamepad users in casual games, so it's more difficult for the game to find 10 players within the same skill level. Location plays a big part of it as well. They said Glenn was unfortunately in one of the spots where there isn't as many console users. Console users are more commonly found in Western markets, like North America. The devs also brought up how players always debate between longer or faster queues. They don't want players to wait in queue for an excessive amount of time for the chance of a better game. Not even a guarantee, only a chance. Next up is Libra, your PS4 rep, who brought up your guys' complaints about aim assist. Libra said that many players feel the aim assist is too powerful compared to other games, and it makes hitscan characters way more powerful than they should be. Also, because of how powerful it is, it can easily pull your aim away from the target you're looking at. And of course, this happens with deployables too. The devs said they still want to take aim assist off of deployables, and they do want to investigate the strength between PC and console. They said the reason the aim assist in Paladins is more powerful compared to other games is due to the time to kill. In a lot of games, you die in a few bullets, so you don't really need your aim to stick on a target for very long. But in Paladins, it's possible that you'll be attacking the same target for even up to 30 seconds if they're being healed. They feel like if the aim assist was weaker, a lot of things wouldn't die and it wouldn't be a very good experience. However, they do want to consider slightly reducing aim assist for hitscan characters so they aren't as powerful as they are now. They say they have to be really careful with this though. They also think an aim assist slider is a possible solution. They want to do something, but they don't want to promise on anything until they have a specific solution. Next up is Couchtrip, another general representative, and he talked about minimum requirements for ranked. He brought up how the game says you need 12 characters unlocked to play ranked, and with 4 bans, it's possible you won't be able to pick a character if all 12 are taken or banned. The devs are gonna look into this. They said this is a text error because they made sure you needed 15 characters unlocked, so you would never be stuck in a position where you couldn't pick a character. Next up is Z1 Unknown. You all know Z1, you all know he plays on PC. He brought up balance for several characters. I'm gonna go through these quickly because there's a good amount of them, I think there's 5 or 6. Furia. He wanted a Wrath meter to take longer to build and decay faster, so Furia isn't always fully amped so easily. He also wants her self-heal from Burning Elf to be lowered. The devs said they do want to look into Furia further. They don't really want to nerf her self-sustain, but they do agree with bringing down her Wrath meter. Now I do want to say something really quick because I know you guys will ask this. Why not nerf her damage outright? Well, the thing about her was Furia was designed to be a support with high damage. Genos was too, and then they nerfed his damage twice. Now look at him. He hides in the back of the map, heal-botting out damage amps for other people. Taking away a core component of a character's design will often ruin them. So messing with the Wrath meter is the better way to go about it. Next up, Z1 brought up Genos. He wants his Light Years card to be nerfed, so Genos has to be closer to a fight and can't play so safe. The devs do agree with that idea. They feel his safety element is too powerful. Next was Strix. Z1 wanted them to remove the ability to be stealthed when scoped, so you can't be hit for free out of nowhere. The devs don't think nerfing stealth will make people less frustrated with him. There was a good amount of Strix talk, but in the end the devs were left thinking on 3 possible nerfs. Nerfing his infused crystal card so he doesn't get 2 more sniper bullets per level, nerfing his reload speed so he has a bigger moment of vulnerability, or nerfing his fire rate slightly so he can't 2-tap as fast. Personally, I think the fire rate nerf is probably the best one. Players seem to hate how fast he kills them. So not getting 2-tapped as fast and giving people more time to react would probably alleviate a lot of frustration. Next was Alex. Z1 brought up how he can't combat slide in the air and feels that making it so he could would remove powerful counters like Genos. The devs do want to look into this, but they are concerned with how it'll look visually. They don't want him to look really weird sliding through the air. If they end up having to redo his animations to make it work, that could take a lot of time and they need to be positive they can spend resources on it. Next was Fernando. Z1 brought up how his dash only does 200 damage while other characters like Rom and Ash do 600 to 800 with theirs. The devs do agree that buffing the damage on Nando's dash would be an impactful buff. Next was Bitey, another general rep. He talked about Furia and Alex as well. He brought up reworking the Light of Dawn card to bring down the value her right click gets. The devs want to focus on the RAF meter for now. As for Lex, he brought up messing with his retribution so that it selects the nearest target instead of a random one, and improving his ultimate. The devs said that doing that to retribution was on their list for the Season 3 update, but unfortunately it did have to be pushed back. They said Lex is a new player-geared character. They also think one of his problems is that his In Pursuit had to be brought down a lot and now its damage output isn't equatable. It's only really useful for finishing off a target when you're out of ammo. They're not super happy with him and they do believe he needs some tweaks. Last up was Yago, or UltimateNY, who is your Switch rep. He brought up how some servers still have high lag. This is from before the latest update, by the way. He also brought up toxic players. As far as server lag, they look into it a lot and are aware some areas have it worse than others. They asked him some questions to better understand how often it happens in his area. As far as toxic players go, he asked for a block list to be added to the game. The devs said there are several problems that can come with a block list. They said their in-game report system will show them who is a troll or toxic rather than not, so please send in those reports. Also, if you guys are reporting people, please report for legitimate reasons. Don't report somebody for not doing well or picking a character you didn't want them to pick. Those reports are false reports, and the devs apparently have had to punish people who submit them before. It makes it harder for them to get to the real reports. Less false reports and more real reports about toxic behavior, throwing, hacking, will result in more bad apples getting punished. Anyway, that's it. That's everything from the meeting that can be shared. If you guys have any questions or feedback, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But yeah, that's pretty much it guys. I want to thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate it, and I'm gonna see you guys later. Bye.